A very good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to Africa in Beyond Television Network, where we are taking a look on what is happening in South Africa. Zizi Kodwa, the former sports minister who was recently relieved of his duties from the ANC, yes, actually came publicly and gave his own side of the story. Remember, a lot is happening within the ANC, and a lot of paging is happening there. Let us hear what Zizi Kodwa had to say.
By virtue of the position that we've afforded them in society, we are living in a market society where everything is for sale, and therefore the markets, or those who are commanding the markets become our high priests currently, right? That's the power that they have by virtue of being who they are, white, if I may put that way. They command whiteness, which presides over us. And our politicians that they find, by the way, including the ANC. Now, they also have material power. These are the resources. Now, these guys can decide to materially determine the power of the rand, the exchange rate. It's not me and you who are doing that. It's their own sentiment. That's the power that they are having. What am I supposed to do for the rand to move, or the exchange rate to change between the rand and pound sterling? There's nothing I can do about it. These guys are having that power, right? And we don't. That's the material power that they have, the resources. But again, they're having a discursive power, our media. And I want earlier on, I think this week, last week, that we should stop referring to the media as the fourth estate. No, it is not, but the mouthpiece of the markets. Right. Now they're having that discussive power, which is highlighting these things and amplifying this message that any coalition with any other party, any ANC coalition with any other party is doomsday, and the markets are going to panic. That's where we are, comrade, where we are living in a market society. Now you ask yourself, then, why would ANC allow itself to be subjected to such? There are two questions to that. Question number one, the ANC is done pushing out those who are far left leaning, number one, such as the EFF, those who push for nationalization within the ANC. They are done pushing them out. They are done pushing those who spoke about radical economic transformation in the form of the Mahashu level. So they are out there. Now, you ought to be asking yourself, now, who is in the current ANC? And I think earlier on, I've given you guys a sneak peek. That is the guys who founded Shanduka, the Ramaphosa's. Shanduka of Ramaphosa was being led by Puchuma Hanyel. What happens when Ramaphosa ascends into presidency? Puchuma Hanyel moves from Shanduka, she goes to where? Naspers, News 24. Ramaphosa is assured that he will take one of your own into the news engine of this country. Puchuma Hanyel is not at Naspers to add any value. She is planted there because this guy is scared of scrutiny. Now you guys are asking why the media is not talking about Pala. No, they're missing the whole point. Number two, we're plunged into load shedding. Go and look who is supplying the diesel to Eskom. Look at what are the interests, what are the BEE deals there. Before Mike Teke comes and tell you here that you guys are not ambitious as young people, as a BEE beneficiary. Now, what is left of the ANC is interest. Just Google Mr. Jonas now. Google Mavusum Simang now, and you will see where are they sitting. They are sitting in the boards of MTN, South 32, Platinum, all these companies. These are the interests that are currently driving the ANC. Whose interests are those? Are the markets. Hence, the ANC is chatting with the DA because everyone who's left-leaning, the people who have voted the MK have spoken in this space because they cannot identify with the character of the ANC or what ANC has become. The people who voted for the EFF or who borrowed, who lended their vote to the EFF or the EFF borrowed from their votes. Because of the vacuum within the left, they come back and voted for the MK. Now, who are we to think that the ANC of Ramaphosa will not entertain the DA over Zuma and Malema, that the ANC of Ramaphosa is pushed out? Who are we to think that the ANC is having an interest of me and you, who are the downtrodden, disenfranchised, who do not have discussive power, material power, instrumental power? Whereas they've pushed the likes of Mahashule, Zuma, Malema out. If they push those people, who remains? That's the questions that we ought to ponder from. I'm willing to put my head on the chopping block, and I will come here in the space and say, comrades, I was wrong. But, to close it off, remember this. The end of history, they say, the mankind's ideological evolution and the universalization of Western liberal democracy. Who embraces that? It is the current ANC. Who else? The DA. The policies of redress, DA is not interested, but self-preservation. The DA has been happy with how things have turned out, more comfortable with the ANC of Ramaphosa. What does that tell you? That DNA is willing to sit down and speak with the ANC. But they are telling you, not of Paul Mashatile, but of Ramaphosa. Who is Ramaphosa? Again, think rule of measure. During that transition towards the end of Cold War, when we ushered into this democratic dispensation, is the guy who was chilling with the rule of mayor in them. Think around 2011, 2012, when Marikana happened, is the guy who said, when the strikers committed industrial action, saying we want 13,500. That is nothing. You guys, you know that 13,000 was nothing at the time. But he said the state must commit a concomitant action towards the workers. That is the Ramaphosa that we think, will be left living today. Guys, without saying much, let me land.
Matuna, thank you so much.
So this is the whole situation. This is what is happening. This is the reason why this young man was forced to step down. If you read what is happening, Fikile Mbalula clearly mentioned that it was the good thing for him to do. And also the spokesperson of ANC in South Africa tried to evade that question, but finally said, this is what is there within the ANC constitution. He must step aside. Why step aside? He was going to cause a lot of trouble within the NEC. That is the reason why they wanted him out before the NEC meeting. Now that is out, Paul Mashatile himself cannot confront Cyril Ramaphosa directly in terms of the direction which ANC must take. Which means this further cements and confirms the divisions within the ANC. As a certain grouping is saying, let us go with Paul Mashatile, EFF, coalition, where Paul Mashatile is going to be the president and Julius Malema is going to be the vice president. And this is what Zizi Kodwa is explaining here to say, these people do not want to have such a coalition to happen because they are actually scared. They don't want it to happen like that because they are scared that if there is to be unity between EFF and ANC, then that will be the collapse of the DA. So they want to preserve whatever they've been doing for a very long time. They want Eskom to collapse so that it gets privatized. I think we have played the video of Steenhuisen for a very long time right here. So they want Eskom to collapse so that they privatize it. They want Transnet to privatize it. They want all state institutions to be privatized into the hands of few individuals who are going to benefit, the few people with money. And if you take a look on the value of Eskom at this point in time, they will buy it at a very low value because they will be saying it's failing. We cannot pay more money on a company which is already failing. And who is going to be prejudiced? It's the state and the people. The same will happen to Transnet. The same will happen to SAA. All these issues are being done just because they want to privatize South Africa so that they continue to benefit. Whereas these young people are talking about nationalization of mines, nationalization of banks. So this is what is happening. And, you know, when they're talking about nationalization of banks, they're not saying we're going to take the banks in the private hands. They're saying we need to have the state owning its own banks. We need to have the state paying its civil servants salaries in the banks owned by the state. And that is the reason why these people are feeling threatened, because they know for sure that if these banks are to come, which are going to be owned by the state and they're operating, they will serve the interests of black people, which means they will give black people loans, which are going to make them millionaires and multimillionaires because they will be able to start their own businesses. That is going to help business people in South Africa, black business people in South Africa, in their majority, not in just few numbers. That is very important. If you take a look on the years where blacks started to be multimillionaires, it was the years of Jacob Zuma, when he was implementing pro-black policies, which made black South Africans millionaires. But right now, the numbers are going down. Why? It's because that policy is no longer there. So you will agree that these comrades within the ANC, they are right to fight with Cyril Ramaphosa because the direction he's trying to take South Africa is a wrong direction. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Regina, thank you very much. Chauna says, Team ZANU-PF was depending on Ramaphosa. Now SA is in the mud. Wanofunga kuti atigonewo kusunungura nyika here. One day. Yes, you know, what is going to happen is if Cyril Ramaphosa is going down, but he's not going down alone. He's going down together with Emmerson Mnangagwa and that the guy of DRC. Take a look on the time frames. Ramaphosa, Mnangagwa, said they will all go. They are going to fall down, everybody of them, because they've sold out Southern Africa. They've sold out their own countries for the sake of white supremacy. So we are going to watch and see. You know, he's not saying it now. He has been saying it for a very long time. You know, some of these things is that we do not pay attention when these things are spoken. These fights didn't start today. These are fights which have been there. How can you fight Zizi Kodwa on corruption charges, but you do not fight Cyril Ramaphosa on Palapalaman? Who is above the constitution? Who must be charged first? Cyril Ramaphosa and Zizi Kodwa. Who must go first? Let us be honest right here. Cyril Ramaphosa is the first person who must go. He is the person who is accused of corruption. There are corruption happening at SAA, at Escom, at Transnet. It's Cyril Ramaphosa. He is running tenders there together with his friends. If you go to the issues also of Palapala, he was holding money against the laws. Why? It's because these are the people who are sabotaging the rand. These are the people who are involved in making sure that they want to sabotage the rand for the sake of the existence or the survival of white supremacy in South Africa. This is the reason why you see they say markets are going to do A, B, C, D. How are you sure that markets are going to do so when no policy has been implemented by the political parties we are accusing? These parties are saying we are going to follow the law, we are going to follow the constitution, we are going to have consultations on how these things should happen. Jacob Zuma was pursuing a nuclear plant in South Africa. A nuclear plant was going to make sure that South Africa was going to be self-sufficient in terms of energy. It was going to have as much energy as possible because they have the raw materials in abundance. Who stopped that nuclear facility? They came, Cyril Ramaphosa, they stopped that nuclear facility to happen in South Africa. And right now we are having load shedding. If that nuclear facility had been up right now, South Africa could be in a position to supply the whole of Southern Africa with electricity at a low cost. But it failed to happen. Why? It's because they are threatened when blacks want to own or control the markets. So this is what is happening. And it's said that this is the reason why they don't want blacks to succeed in terms of business, because they know for sure that if they succeed in business, they will not be able to control the markets anymore. The markets will be controlled from elsewhere. So basically, if you take a look on what is happening in South Africa, it's a mess. But Mnangagwa, we have to go. Israel, thank you very much. SK, thank you very much. Tichaona, putting yourself will never be blackmailed because of ED for what? It's another threat. Yeah, tokonzera ED. Yeah. Yes, ED nyadzari na Putin. That was off, and they're in trouble. I mean, Zizi, why is he saying Ramaphosa DA puppet now? How long he was working with Ramaphosa and not saying that? They've been saying it, Mr. Robson. They've been saying it. Take a look on the people who were pushing Palapala issue to happen. But sometimes you need to fight from within. That is the reason why these guys were not publicly coming out. Take a look on the vice president of South Africa right now, Paul Mashatile. They have been fighting with Ramaphosa for a very long time now. And now everything is coming out that Ramaphosa is trying to silence both of them, but he cannot page all of them at once. He is taking them out one by one, hoping that within the next 6 months, he would have dealt with both of them. But we will see what is going to happen because ANC is going to respond. This is what is happening in South Africa. We'll wait to see what is going to happen. We want Ramaphosa down. We want ED down. And we want that guy in DRC, they must go because they failed their economies. They failed the African people.